Well, good morning, folks. Well, I am going to finish up with the with this project. Thought I'd bring you along on it. So, what we're going to do is install the dowels and in the finals, and then we'll be hanging the hanging thingy. Gosh, it's morning. So, a dowel, like I bought from the hardware store, plain poplar dowel. This is I think I said poplar, not popular, um, is 3/16 inch. I had some 1/4 inch at home, but they were a little too big. So I went out and I can buy this in 3 foot, 4 foot long lengths for pennies. And then I cut it to length, and I have to cut it considering that the final will slip over the top, and I have to have enough room for the hanging cord to be able to be tied on. So, as you'll see in a minute, I miscalculated a little bit, but I think it's going to be okay. So, I'm not going to put the raw cord on. So, the next I do is spray paint it. So, and then after I spray paint it, or before I spray painted it, I put on one of the finals. So you can see one end is open, and that's so I can actually get it through the tube that I created. So I add some extra rows to the image at the top and the bottom, and I then overlap them. So I'm not sure if I can show this, but yeah, you can see that there is a tube there. And because of the problem I had with the warp threads, the brand that I used, I had to add some bias tape to wrap around those ends. So it became I don't know what to call it, like an envelope, basically, where it was glued and then eventually it was sewed. This side I did really well. The first side, the bottom side, nah, not so pretty. But it's going to be on the back. It's important in quality work to have the back look as good as the front, but oh well. It was a learning process. So the rod will then be able to insert into this. Come on, there we go. And there you'll see it's not a real big overhang. I should have given it probably another 1/2 inch or an inch, but then the final will fit on top. It'll get a little glue, the glue will dry, and if there's any spill over at where the rod goes in, because you can see that's a hole there that's a little bit bigger than the dowel, then I have to scrape that off. I use Gorilla Glue, which expands as it's drying, so I've found it regularly that it will bubble up and then dry this big, hard, nasty-looking thing on the outside. So then it's I can usually cut it down pretty well with a box cutter, and if I need to do a little touch-up on the dowel, I have my own trusty little magic marker. So Sharpie's magic markers work wonders on black, and it blends right in. In fact, I'm going to show you, I'd already inserted the bottom one because I found that the top one was a little bit bigger, and that was to my advantage. As you can see, there's end on, there is very little space. That's as much space if the other side has 0. So I got to split the difference. But the good thing is this one doesn't have the hanging cord. So when it's on, it doesn't matter that it's so tight. The other one was a tad bit bigger, so I'm using it on the top. The cord I'm going to use is just some, what do they call this, grosgrain ribbon. And this is an 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch, forget. What is it? An 1/8 inch. I knew that. And it will just wrap around the ends, and then I'll sew that down. I'll sew the frayed end over, and then I'll sew it down, and it'll be enough to support it. So that is the project. I did see a little spot on this one, if you can see, that's a little light on the spray paint. Spray painting is definitely not my forte, so magic marker, do your job. Oh, you're into a little groove. But yeah, it covers up. It's hard to do this and watch through the camera. Ta-da! So there, now it looks beautiful. I'll let that dry. So that's all for, this will be just about it for this project. I'm going to hold this camera by hand so I can zoom out a little bit. So he will be done. And of course, I'm still looking at the back, so let's flip him around to the front. I'll take some photographs of him hanging on the wall, but I don't think I'll make a video of it. But yeah, you can see he turned out gorgeous. Really happy with him. Especially since my image that I went with kind of cut off the top of his head. So I had to freehand it to make his hair look normal. And I think it did. I think it turned out great. So I'm very pleased with him. So that's all for today. I'm going to finish him up, put the glue on, let it dry, do any touch-up work, put on the hanging cloth, and then hang him on the wall. Thanks so much for watching. Again, give it a thumbs up, leave comments. If you have questions, I'll be glad to answer questions. Share it. All kinds of things that you can do to help get it more exposure on YouTube so that more people see this, and hopefully I can help other people have an interest in this. I don't know how many people really want to do this kind of crazy detailed work, but you know, it's satisfying for me. It's really a beautiful exercise in time. I started him in July, and this is the beginning of February. And I mean, once he comes off the loom, it's slow going because it's not as fun. I do have another project going, which is just barely going, so it doesn't look like anything. I started with one image and realized that it just wasn't working out. It was frustrating, and it just kept coming into problems. So that's why there's a dark row there, because I started with it, but I left it at this point just to help space out those warp threads. When something is this tall, those little tiny threads tend to want to come together and go apart, and you can see where it kind of wrinkles and bubbles a little bit. It just needs to have some rows before it starts going, oh, okay, this thread, I should stay here and my buddy should stay there and that sort of thing. So the new project is going to be a predominantly white background. So right now I'm working on the part that's going to flip over and be on the back side um, of the project and won't be seen. But it is a predominantly white background, so I don't have all the colors even here yet. Uh, but I do have on my beading mat a lot of white because I'm doing a lot of white right now. And then there's my array of colors. This one I think is got 44 colors. There's a few that are repeated, so I haven't exactly worked out how many actual colors I did, but in the 40s. It initially, when I plotted out the project, it wanted like 300 and some colors, and I went, oh, that's crazy talk. I can't do that. So I cut it back to where I wasn't really losing the image that much. It wasn't deteriorating, but still, it was a little easier on the pocketbook and easier on laying things out to get down into the 40s. The most complicated project I did was 80 colors. That was the one before this one. He had, I want to say, 27 different colors. Certainly that black jacket helped make things go a lot quicker with him. So just a big swath of black in the middle of this made for easier input. The project before this one, it was a good 45 minutes just to install one row of beads. So 45 minutes times 17 got me 1 inch of this project. And this one is a little over 12 inches, 12 by 12 roughly. So you can see it is a very time-consuming project, whereas installing all one color like that's about 20 minutes. So it's different. He was equally as fast. So I've got kind of a complicated background. And let me hold him up one more time. I know I said I was going to go a while ago. But you can see the buildings in the background. There's a lot of complication in there. What looks like just like that solid white on the right is actually a number of different colors, and some are opaque and some are transparent. That's what really gives depth to an image like this. Is it's not just gold, it's varying shades of gold. And if you're have done any kind of art at all, you know what I mean, that you can do something that's very two-dimensional and very geometric and doesn't have a lot of shading to it, but I'm really enjoying doing these portraits. Let's see if we can zoom in on his face. And this is really, really fun for me to get that much detail to it, and certainly a skill that I didn't think I had. So this has given me a lot of fun. Anyway, I've talked long enough. Thank you for listening to my early sleepy voice. I think it's about 6 a.m. here, and I've been up for a while, thanks to the dogs, but I'm a little froggy still and haven't had my coffee, so, egads, things are terrible. Anyway, thanks so much, and thumbs up, comments, likes, all that. I really appreciate it. Shares. Thank you. Bye.